From the moment dawn breaks over the corrugated rooftops of Balmoral Castle, an ancient ritual comes to life. Precisely 6 a.m., two young maids descend to the East Wing's grand hallway, dust brushes in hand. Without a word, they kneel on the cold granite floor and sweep every inch of carpet by hand. Vacuum cleaners are forbidden here, the Queen detests their hum. In silence, they work until breakfast is served at 8 o'clock. These women will spend 16-hour days polishing silver, stoking 50 fireplaces, and curtsying not only to living royals but to every empty room they enter, an invisible appreciation for a presence that has just departed. That curtsy to a vacant chamber, the scrubbing on aching knees, the vow of silence, these are not quirks plucked from a forgotten fairy tale. They were instituted by Queen Victoria and Prince Albert when they first claimed this rugged estate in 1852. Albert paid £32,000, roughly $4.4 million today, for the property after spotting a soaked newspaper advertisement. Without notifying his wife, he secured more than 53,000 acres of rugged mountains, forests, and lochs. Within 4 years, they had torn down the old lodge and raised a new granite fortress, sleek and white, complete with a German-inspired clock tower that rings in E-flat so as not to startle the royal ponies. By 1866, a private railway snaked its way nearly 3 miles across the grounds, strictly for discreet luggage transfers. Yet despite the grandeur and isolation, Balmoral remains wholly private, a personal refuge for the Windsors. Any money raised from deer hunts or cottage rentals heads not to the treasury but straight into the family's own coffers. Parliament may grumble, but for Edward VII it was their inescapable refuge, and not even the state could pry it away. Inside its 167 rooms, Prince Albert himself carved the initials of each child above the grand entrance, and he intentionally narrowed the corridors so that family members would collide more often, touchpoints designed to cultivate closeness. Despite this warmth built into the architecture, the human machinery that keeps the castle ticking operates under the strictest protocols. Every staff member, from the Gillies who handle the horses to the bagpiper who serenades the king's window each morning at 7, must swear an unbreakable oath of silence. Speak of your duties and you lose your post. By the light of flickering lanterns, these workers have polished, dusted, cooked, and served the household for generations, yet their wages barely budged. In the early 1980s, a junior housemaid earned the equivalent of £18,000 a year, though she lived on-site and often labored 60 hours weekly. First-tier elevation came 3 years later, boosting her pay to around £21,500, still slightly above a bus driver's salary, despite back-breaking work and chamber pots in corridors where modern plumbing was absent. Male gamekeepers, meanwhile, pulled in a healthier £26,000. Many women lasted just 1 season before fleeing to warmer hotels or more generous workplaces. Did you ever imagine that serving royalty could come with such hidden costs? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious to know what you think. Every September since 1858, the castle staff cast off their uniforms for the one night they can speak freely, the Gillies Ball. Precisely 7 p.m., workers and royals gather under a canopy of lanterns, gold-edged invitations denoting rank. The king leads the first dance. A dishwasher might even find herself waltzing with a prince. But at midnight, when the last tune fades, the royals slip away, and every attendee rises in silent reverence to a departing monarch. Cameras are banned. So was a barefoot dance in 1991, an incident that cost a footman his post. Behind those closed doors, secrets take on a weight heavier than the thick granite walls. In the late 1980s, a young French magazine revealed the existence of a hidden royal children's treehouse, prompting the palace to plaster the windows and clamp down on photography. A former housekeeper's memoir described how Princess Diana quietly sipped from a rose-scented finger bowl after a guest's fumble, an unspoken act of solidarity that left 17 empty bowls for the staff to count. Such moments, small and tender, punctuate the cold routine. Yet, kindness never erased the ache of a frostbitten dormitory. Until 1995, maids slept in attics where temperatures plunged below 4 degrees Celsius. Hot water ran for just half an hour each morning, and faulty slate roofs dripped relentless rain. 2 women fell ill with pneumonia, and, ironically, lost their jobs for missing morning duties. Only after a government audit did management install electric heaters and hand out duvets. Many of those who survived the decade had already exchanged Balmoral's shadows for brighter hotel kitchens. Fast forward to the high summer of 2025. Storm winds howled, the castle gates locked for safety, and tourists queued miles away. But the real reason wasn't the weather. 2/3 of the room attendants had vanished overnight. 500 years of tradition undone by the simplest imperative: fair wages. These same maids had surfed Indeed reviews in 2024, discovering that the average pay was barely £10.90 an hour, while supervisors yanked break times and docked unpaid overtime. In response, a palace crisis team rushed in, but the damage was done. The rot spread beyond the Great Hall. At Highgrove, King Charles's organic gardens became a crucible of impossible demands. Hand hose only, no tractors, 90 wheelbarrow trips per day carrying 200 kilograms of compost, and nightly memos from a monarch dissatisfied with a single weed clinging to the soil. 12 senior gardeners dwindled to one by mid-2025, their wages capped at 7% of estate earnings despite a personal fortune of over £1.1 billion. Industry experts calculated it would cost less than £150,000 a year to bring pay up to living wage, an amount dwarfed by the expense of resurfacing a private helipad. Throughout these crises, royal households continued to wield legal secrecy clauses born in the 1950s and strengthened in 2022. Break them and you face six-figure lawsuits. Earlier whistleblowers paid dearly. In 1983, valet Stephen Barry earned a paltry £6,000 a year serving Prince Charles, wrote a tell-all, then was dismissed within months, and died 3 years later. In 2003, Paul Burrell's memoir rocked the palace, and despite an eventual acquittal, the damage was done. Marion Crawford, governess to Princesses Elizabeth and Margaret, revealed only kind anecdotes, and was exiled from court, stripped of her cottage, and died under a false name, alone. Even Angela Kelly, the Queen's dresser, needed express royal permission to publish her affectionate memoir in 2019. Her simple tales of dish soap brooch tricks and broken-in shoes still set palace tongues wagging. Indeed, any glance behind the scenes at Balmoral triggers a tense ballet between loyalty and justice, tradition and humanity. So what does the future hold for castle service? King Charles's vision of carbon-neutral kitchens and organic orchards might flourish, but without people, gardens wilt. As the workforce shrinks, rotation rates spike past 38%, and temp agencies fill vacancies at double the original wages, one wonders, can an institution built on permanence adapt to modern expectations of fair pay and respect? Beyond the thundering hooves of hunts, the shimmer of royal banquets, and the echo of solitary bagpipes, there is a human story written in calloused hands and trembling voices. It's a story that transcends palace intrigue. It is about dignity, value, and the quiet revolution of those who decide that loyalty, no matter how storied, cannot be pitted against basic fairness.